system, and it acts as a post-landing lunar taxi. So just using Starship here as a kind of a bus, but they do retain control over like what they're calling the lunar surface logistics. So let's see how that all plays out. Kind of pumped about that, man. I love this space.
So a headline just dropped here, Sharif. So Grok 4.5 is not yet available in the EU or in any SpaceX product or the API console.
It's supposed to be released today.
Yeah, apparently.
Or we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. You know what I really like though is that I think it can help gain some ground for Grok, is it having it in the Tesla vehicle.
Oh yeah, right? Well we should ask Sean about that because have you been using Grok? Have you been using Grok in your Tesla? Just for random stuff, but do you get it to do your itinerary planning? Because okay, he does use it for itinerary planning, which is fantastic. Because like I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube of people doing that.
Oh shit. Okay, Big 40 man. I wish you all the best, man.
What happened?
He was saying peace out to both you and I for the next little while, but now he's
hi man, he's gone for a little bit.
He's
But 40, gonna miss the Bash Brothers. Hope to see you guys still bringing the energy. See you in 2029. Where are you going, man?
You gotta read the next thing that he then stated, Sharif.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Publicly.
All right, man. That's all right, brother. We'll see you when you get out, man.
Keep your chin up, man.
Exactly, man.
Yeah, keep your chin up, man.
We'll be right here, and I hope everything works out.
Yeah, keep that chin up. Hit those push-ups.
Exactly.
Well too.
Use your time wisely.
Yeah, man, for sure, man.
We love you, brother. We'll be here when you get out, man.
40.
But now we got to send it to Sia, SSE?
Yeah, and then we roll over.
Adair. Okay, let's send it up to Adair.
A little bit of an uptick in the market. I'm still going to read through these, but here are some of the highlights. Apparently, most Fed participants cited that there's a possibility that inflation could stay high due to AI-related aspects, I guess, here. They also said they welcome a review of communications tools and practices, very much in line with comments made by new Fed Chair Kevin Warsh about his task forces, which include focusing on communication. They also said that most participants preferred not to repeat previous statement language that suggested an easing bias. So again, kind of easing up on the easing bias. They said in such scenarios, all participants here indicated some policy firming would likely be warranted in certain scenarios here. The Fed staff forecast for inflation in 2026 and 2027 was higher than in the April forecast. The forecast here for inflation a little bit higher in June than it was in April. Still reading through these minutes, but yeah, guys, generally just a little bit more cautious than what we were seeing at the April meeting, and also looking to, get rid of that easing statement and review the Fed's communication policies. Cough, cough, we might see the dot plot go away. Back to the guys.
The dot plot? Oh, we talking about the dot plot?
Yeah, there was Fed minutes.
Yeah, Fed minutes just out, but the market is absolutely loving it. Well, liking it is probably a better word. Back into the grain, it looks like, which we're back and forth because, NVIDIA was the one that was leading the way, but if we're being real about it, and you got to go way back to, right at the end of the morning show. NVIDIA, again, positive China news. It's trying to get back to the upside. I don't know, if this isn't going to break the highs, I do wonder how much you're actually going to get this extending into the upside. Oil still looking incredibly weak, but it's starting to base out a little bit here. So we'll have to see how that one goes. It was a big time rebound in oil. I was actually thinking of a Rivian reversion, but that Fed minutes might change things because now the market's looking strong again. Thought this was going to finally break down, but let's give it a couple minutes after this meeting minutes to get an idea of where things are going to be headed, because that's a nice little bounce. It's a pretty good. I gotta admit, I'm actually pretty happy with the bounce that we're seeing in the market today. But I want to stay bearish because that's where the bones have been today, for the most part.
I mean, we're both. We're now $5 in the money on SpaceX, and we're long. So, yeah, we got both of the best of both worlds here. Hopefully, long the market, and as soon as we broke, I tried to go short at the highs again. We hit that to the downside short, as Neil said, has paid the bills today. But right into there, we tried again. Then we started to go long, got stopped out a little bit when held on to a little bit, bought some more, and now we're starting to go back up to the upside here on the TQQs. But yeah, SpaceX, man, we've been talking about this short literally all day. I mean, 10 o'clock was the last time we took the short. And I said, for VWAP trading there, like that was a great short. I don't know if the guys on the midday had that, but I put an offer as soon as I came back. We started to cover and then put an offer right at 149.50. That just didn't fill, didn't come back upside. So we were waiting for that one, and then there's the drop off there on SpaceX. So yeah, man. I mean, we've already been looking at this name for quite a while, and there goes SpaceX. And on the TQs, I don't want to be in this because of I was just in it. I mean, this actually started to go well before 2 o'clock there. That's 157 or so started to go on TQQs. So we got in, we got stopped out right against that low there. But because we broke into Greensville, I wanted to represent this by getting out a little bit and then make sure that we did not have sort of suffer the fate of the downside play there. But it held. So we got back in, and there it goes upside now on the TQQs as we just continue to sort of promote what we've been doing here on SpaceX and so on and so forth. But I'm not going to keep talking about it. We've been doing that enough. You guys know I'm short, and it is what it is. So let's go back over to Neil and see what he's up to.
We're talking about some updates from Oragenics. The ticker is OGEN on the NYSE American, and they've activated their phase 2A clinical trial in Australia, with its first site fully operational and patient dosing expected next. They're developing ONP-002, an intranasal treatment targeting concussion and mild traumatic brain injury, an area where there are currently no FDA-approved therapies. Alongside that, Oragenics has spent the past year strengthening its balance sheet, raising capital, resolving liabilities, and restoring exchange compliance. The focus now shifts to execution, with clinical progress underway and additional CNS assets under evaluation. That's OGEN. Over on the NYSE American, as we like to call it, the former Amex. I think it's also on the Amex, which might be kicking up a little bit here. Eventually did flip short into battle. Would have been ideal if we'd done it when we were getting out long. That was an interesting conversation. I actually saw the midday guys talking about it. When you exit like a long position, sometimes you got to think it's a bit of a short at a key level. But I was looking for it to come all the way back. The problem, I think, for this moving anywhere more down, anywhere lower, was you've already almost pressed into the lows on USO. So the USO's got like 1 point left on this drop. So you're more or less looking for the bottom end of the range to come in. Really not gonna give it too wide of a stop in here. Like, it's not worth any more than 5 or 6 pennies in here, and you're really just trying to take 10 to 15 anyways. So going to be looking for something. Someone in the chat also was saying, Neil, look at Rivian. Well, I was just saying Rivian is something that I am looking at because we talked about liking close prices earlier. This was on the precipice of breaking the trend at the prior day close and looking for a reversion there. And then right before it was about to do that, you had the meeting minutes come out and then it spiked. So to me, this was setting up pretty decently to break the trend line, and then we effectively got the Fed meeting minutes, and it bounced right there. So I still like to trade, but it went from triggering in 1 or 2 seconds from triggering in to, okay, now it's bouncing off the high. So yeah, Rivian I'm taking a watch at. Yes, it's having a fantastic day. I think overall, if you're looking at it from a daily chart, this actually looks like a good bounce spot and a good start to a bit of a recovery for Rivian. But just for the afternoon, I'm looking at a reversion back to about 16.3 initially. But it's got to break the trend line. Too strong so far. And it's been a pretty strong market, led by those chips. Well, I should say led by NVIDIA. NVIDIA probably dragging the chips higher.
Yeah, NVIDIA's been a good
that 200 break. When did it break the 200?
No idea.
Oh, that was, 200 break was pretty much
12:30.
Yeah, it wasn't sitting down here.
Yeah, I really like NVIDIA. I mean, I was always talking about selling off some AMD, and I mean, in a day where NVIDIA today up 2.7%, we have Advanced Micro Devices flat to red right now for AMD. So I think we're, maybe the switch is on a little bit. I was just saying that if the market does fall back in, I would look for that AMD to be somewhat of a problem. I took another out, by the way, on SpaceX just here at 146.50. I mean, waiting to let that one get going as well. Netflix, $76. That's nice. That's a nice bounce off of $70 for NFLX. So, this could be a name that was beat up a little bit too much. There it is, back into 71, back to 76. We could see a little bit of a run up there for Netflix as well. Keep it going in the chat, man. We are all over the chat. If you have anything to say, let us know in here. Ask us about anything you want, maybe stock related. And then we will also look at some of the symbols that you guys are talking about here, and we'll be able to figure out what we should be talking to you regarding, and we'll answer as much as possible. Some of the newest halts. I mean, we did have S dot today. The last time I saw this thing was $9, right down into there. Big halt, finally opens back up 11. It was tapping into 9. I guess that never happened. Then we went to 13, and now you're trying to go back upside. S dot finally moving around a bit here and not halting. So was a very, very light volume day. Now the volume's back in a little bit. S dot down 48%. That's another name to look at. And then NVVE, this one's been halting a bit as well. NVVE, there's the halt right there at basically on the break of 11. Halted a couple times earlier. As this name, I guess there must be a story. This looks like a day 2 play here. NVVE breaking through $5 and trying to get higher right now. There's the $5 level. No wonder. So there's the break. There's the go. This name obviously has to be looked at again today. And I don't know if Adara's back there or not, but NVVE. So Neil Victor Escobar.
Last news on this was Thursday after the bell. So day 1 for this would have been Monday morning because of the long weekend. Apparently their Denmark subsidiary or Denmark business here, Nuvi Denmark, will be buying Best Sibiu SRL, which I guess develops some megawatt battery storage in Romania. You're going to be paying a monthly fee of 10,000 euros until the end. So that's literally it, and that's from a couple days ago. As we mentioned, though, this is a repeat offender. This ticker very well.
10,000 euros. That's my credit card bill, honestly, a month there.
10,000 euros?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that's...
But that said, this is
that's a drop in the bucket
small.
over there.
The float is only 500,000.
Yeah, that's why I have it on
84%.
Here. Yeah, the short flow might be wrong, but there it is, right. 84%. But yeah, there goes NVVE there with that nice move back to the upside there. So yeah, thanks Adara for that one as it keeps on going up, man. NVVE on old news, but hey, man, with Norway, making all the news there in the World Cup, NVVE Norway. So we say what's up to that one, and we'll watch out for that.
Down with Norway on Saturday.
Yeah, Norway, England, right? Is that what it is? And then we have Intel right here, 108 for Intel. So that's had a nice bounce back as well off of 104. We had talked about sort of this computer, revolution that we're going to experience apparently at some point. Intel will be part of that, and that's why they've been having this mature move higher. But at the same time, it's down 30% here from the highs, right? I mean, that high, if we're I don't want to cherry pick. We can just use this candle here. And I don't even know if these things work for us right there. So let's go back and quick look. We could do the math. That's what I was showing. Yeah, 24%. So top to bottom there, 140 back into 107. So we're waiting for that 100 marker to see what winds up happening there for Intel. But another beat up name that I thought I liked and wanted to buy some. So we'll have to wait now to see, how far this move is going to extend down through, because NASDAQ being back to zeros today is really nice. ES 0.31, NASDAQ only down or now flat on the day. What a good call there. Anybody that bought some of those dips into the lows. I recently bought some Qualcomm, so that's in the account as well. And we like that level here of 180. Pretty happy with the Qualcomm decision there, and we'll see if that one can get back to the upside. Rumors about SpaceX and all the dealings going on with Qualcomm. We'll see if there is any truth to that as well. But just right now, long futures, and short SpaceX. So that's what we're doing now, and just hanging out with everybody live one more time.
Always live. That's how it is. And man, the list of names that are looking ridiculously good today is long, but one of them was just checking out IBM. Not as you like to see, but remember AVGO this morning?
Yeah.
So about that,
up 4% or something. Oh, up
5.
Now
5. The 200 period moving average is it's gold when it holds on a quality stock. And we're talking about NVIDIA being at a cheap P. These guys forward 19. that ends up being a nice little bounce play for them. Probably going to have to run into the 400 level. All of that said, there are a couple of places, and I don't mean to pick on anybody, but okay, I'm going to pick on somebody right now. In the midst of all of this goodness, or, euphoria is the wrong word, let's just call risk back on. I went over and looked at our good friend SMR, which yesterday had that nice trend break in the afternoon, hit another 52-week, not all-time low, 52-week low, made another 52-week low today. Well, it's at VWAP, so that's one of the things I like to look at. We didn't get a chance to talk to Brian yesterday, but we can still talk about the volume-weighted average price. This is at VWAP when the market's at the highs, which immediately makes it relatively weak. It's still down 2%, unfortunately. So if I don't get that Rivian, I'm going to look for the short off VWAP here. Nick Dubs says, of the insight, believe biotech will continue to run. I agree with that. Yeah. Rotation into some beaten down tech, i.e. Path, software, NVIDIA, Alphabet. That's a lot of things. Okay, so fine. I agree with you in the rotation. Software names, I think you got to, I don't know that I want to lump them all in together. I don't think that it would be as simple as saying, okay, IGV is going to be just fine. I think you want to make sure that you're getting some pretty solid value. I strongly prefer cybersecurity to the IGV. So, and I really like CrowdStrike and Palo Alto about the same, if I'm being real about it. I've already talked about you get some quantum with an IBM name. I think they're fantastic. Alphabet and NVIDIA, okay, those are other two different places. NVIDIA, I think you gotta like it here. No, I think NVIDIA. Yeah. Okay, I know we've heard good news out of China before for NVIDIA, and how much does it actually matter? So I understand why there'd be some skepticism. But if you want to tell me that these guys are going to be cheaper than the Nasdaq at 19 or 18 or 19p or whatever the heck it was this morning, it's going to be different now because it's up 3 points, and you're still getting fantastic growth out of them. I understand that everyone wants to talk about memory, but yeah, NVIDIA's back on. This is like when Stringer Bell had to hit he told the boys in the street, you put the word out there, we back up. You know what I'm saying? The Barksdales had to come back up. You might have put them away, but they can still operate. And Marlowe's not running this town. So
I don't know enough about it.
You have to watch the watch.
I know. I don't know enough about it to join in.
It's one of my favorites. You got to put the word out there. We back up.
Yeah, I don't.
That's what I feel like for NVIDIA right now. So let's go. 200 period, the 90s holding. Everything about this level looks pretty good. It's a trend break on the daily. So yes, and more yes.
Yeah, NVIDIA. I mean, I just think if you think this is an early inning game with AI, and I do really believe there is a generational shift, obviously, just like there was the Industrial Revolution and things like that. I mean, things are getting smarter, better, easier access, cheaper, everything. I think NVIDIA's at the forefront there, and even if their chips are more expensive than the rest, they can come up with cheaper ones. Like there's more here. I don't think Jensen and all that are just looking, past everything. I think they definitely understand where this is all moving with those, the GPUs versus the TPUs, and what's behind the tensor processing with Google and Amazon and all that, and the custom ASICs. I mean, I think that there's more to come with NVIDIA, and at this valuation, I don't think you're going to be too wrong with anything like that as well. And yeah, the biotechs, I've really been liking that, and I just use the simple stuff with the IBB or the XBI, and it was just like my thinking was just population living longer. Getting older every day. Everybody is. Rocket science right
except
there.
Except for Keanu Reeves.
Except for Keanu Reeves and a few other people there, like Tom Brady. Tom Brady looks younger now than he did when he was drafted, thank you to, different surgeries and whatnot, and good food. And the wealthy always live longer. I wonder why that is. Shout out to Magic Johnson, of course, the only man surviving AIDS back in the 80s and 90s. But there it is, all the way upside, 175 break right into there. There we go, IBB. So as I was saying, as the richer get richer, which is happening every day as well, they start to live longer, and we get a little more effective and efficient with some of the AI. And that was always the thought here with the biotech, is that hopefully we can come up with solutions to problems faster. And, the companies that will do that are the ones that we're trying to be invested in, hence the J&Js. And hence the wonder drug, honestly, that is Eli Lilly. Single-handedly basically shedding trillions of pounds off of, the human race as we speak, with that Novo Nordisk as well. And just solving some of that diabetic pressure and whatever, blah, 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 whatever you guys think about those drugs. But it's been great for Eli Lilly and Company. So that name continues to go to the upside. A big hold there in the account, never to sell Eli Lilly. I would think anyways, buy more of it as it goes lower. That's for sure. But yeah, keep the chats going, man. And remember, we do have it. If we do have the board up, you guys can push $sign, and we can see what's top of your mind as well. There, put a $sign, Rivian, whatever. There it is right now. So, okay, no surprise. NVIDIA, okay, we just talked about it. SpaceX, I'm on it right now. Neil's on Battle. We can look. We can look at.
What is doing?
We just looked at S-Dot. Remember, it's in the mid-20s.
It's not really moving.
S-Dot was a halter earlier. Hasn't really done anything yet, but not too many mentions. So get in there, go $sign, get that going up a little bit higher, and then we can see what's going on. Nebius. That was another name. Thank you for that in the chat. As we say, big shout out to everybody that started. And it doesn't matter if you're on TikTok, if you're on Instagram, Twitch, if you're watching us on normal cable. Let me know how exactly that's happening, because I don't think we're over there yet. We did have to turn down a deal from CNN, because, they didn't align with us.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Right there.
Values.
But, yeah, we got to make sure it's right. But there we go. Amazon. So people here in the chat, no matter where you are is what I was getting at. You got to put it in. If whether or not you're on TikTok, it all records, man. So CrowdStrike, Tesla. We talked a little bit about DraftKings earlier. Maybe we can do that again. I like ELF, not just because they've taken way too much money from my family, but ELF is a good cosmetic. Thank you, Joe. That felt really. Why are you stopping? That massage was good. You can keep going. There's Nebius right there. Shout out to Kirk D. What's up, Kirk D? Too bad we can't trade Alexander Kirk. Is that his name? What's his name on our team? Kirk.
What?
Yeah.
Kirky?
Yeah, Kirky. Yeah, right there. I don't think anybody's in these contracts that we have. I was actually listening to the radio.
No, he's got a reasonable deal. You don't want to.
Yeah, I think the Jays, they were saying maybe have
catching.
4 to 5 guys that anybody else would be interested in. We're not trading them.
No,
we wouldn't trade Vladdy, even though you probably get pennies on the dollar. Gosman, I don't think we should trade either. I think if anybody gives us a bucket of balls for George Springer, we would do that. Other than
one's
that,
going to trade for him.
I know,
He's
that's
hurt.
what I mean. So unfortunately,
and plus two, even though we stink, we're 3 games out of the playoffs.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. That's so nice to be
American
in
League's so trash.
American League right now. But
you know what's not ever trash is always pure gold. The big screen.
Yeah.
And Adara.
To the window, to the wall.
So yes, that.
Thank you for that lovely intro, Neil. It's time for another edition of To the Window, to the Wall, where I pull up an infographic window and we talk about it on the wall. Now, this is kind of a follow-up. This is probably the last of these that I'll force you guys to look at during the segment, but continue to look into the state attorneys general and their actions against or towards or about publicly traded companies. So I teased yesterday, I would give you guys a full look at how many actions have been against or involving all of these companies so far this year, and here's a list. So there are 27 companies that had at least 2 actions, and that either means that a state coalition of 2 or more states made an action against the company, or separate states pursued separate actions against the company. We've got a couple examples of both, but a lot of these are going to be multi-state coalitions. So let's get into it. I want to start here with Google and Meta. Now, obviously, 70 actions here towards Google, 58 towards Meta. There is no way that there's more than the number of states, and that's because, as I mentioned yesterday, I've been counting multi-state coalitions as individual actions, because each state that signs on is an individual action from that state, right? So with that in mind, you've got 70 actions against Google. Now, all 50 states were involved in the settlement with Google for a total of $700 million, I believe, earlier this year, and that's why you've got already 50 states there. Now, Meta, a couple different investigations, 2 separate investigations on their own, just from Ken Paxton over in Texas, and neither of them have to do with the social media mental health thing. They're totally separate things. So interesting look for Meta. Now, Novartis, that was because 38 states joined a coalition alleging something with this company earlier this year. Live Nation, of course, we know they had that big court win in April with the Antitrust and the Ticketmaster monopoly. Then you've got SpaceX, 31 states joined a coalition to look into XAI and certain inappropriate images that were allegedly being produced. CVS, couple different groups here, though a lot of this was, multi-state coalitions. They were looking into some of these providers, these health insurance related names. There was a settlement here. So payment companies plus Capital One. There were 24 states here in the state coalition. Capital One was part of this coalition, but they had their own separate action with New York, which is why they're on their own. But basically, what you had here was a whole bunch of states being like, hey, payment companies, stop letting kids buy vapes. I don't know what the payment companies were going to do about that, but that was the action there. Now, Shopify, I intentionally wanted to mention this because I know Neil said he'd be a bit concerned if Shopify showed up in the top 15. It's actually number 9. But the reason it's on here is a little bit different. There was a multi-state coalition that issued a letter or a statement here to Shopify praising it for its work stopping the sale of vapes. So Shopify actually on here, but not necessarily for a bad reason. I mean, then you've got actions towards a whole bunch of these like settlements here, NCLH and CalMaine. You've got Netflix, HPE. People were looking into that Juniper merger. And then a lot of these are more kind of like, not one-offs because there's more than one, but a couple different companies doing separate suits, or sorry, a couple different states doing separate suits against companies. And all of these in the bottom, these are like literal one-offs. Like one state had one allegation against each of these companies. So I really wanted to do this to show, I think, the breadth of different types of investigations, the breadth of different types of companies that are on here. Like obviously you have a lot of Make 7, but then you've got the likes of like Dollar General and Dollar Tree on here as well, right? I mean, Roblox, not shockingly, is on here as well. So I think I want to do a little bit of a deep dive, as I like to do. I also really wanted as well right now to say thank you guys all so much for your honest feedback and thoughts on yesterday's infographic. I like to try different stuff with you guys. Sometimes it doesn't always work. It's always going to be a little bit different, but that's what I love about the show and the opportunity we have here is to give you guys different, unique, market-related content every single day. So happy to be here. Definitely let me know what you guys think. And if you have any other infographic suggestions, because I'm always writing those down when I see them in the chat. With that, that's today's segment of To the Window, to the Wall, as you send it back over to the guys.
Oh, finish that one.
You could definitely find all of that on Trader TV Research. That's Adara's own personal page, and you can go check that out. There's tons of infographics, and as she had just mentioned there, yeah, it's not all the mega cap names. And I had sort of said yesterday,
not only,
that sometimes it can not necessarily be a negative thing that you're being looked at. I mean, once it gets resolved, it can turn out favorable or not for your business, and sometimes that's something to be looked at. That is for sure. But
we're gonna throw this up. We got East meets Westy Bestie sent us a gift here, and I wanted to show the. We get a couple of comments. Well, one of you were saying not to be too cavalier talking about consumer protection issues for certain companies. And look, I think you have to. Obviously, it's an important role, and protecting the consumer is obviously an important task. And if it ever comes off as cavalier, I'll be the first person a million times you have probably heard me say, if you are Alphabet, if you are Meta, and if the regulators are not coming at you and constantly either in your pockets or in your grill, then you're not doing your job. If we're talking about the companies that you want to be invested in, well, when you get de facto oligopolies, which is if you're good in tech and you do something incredibly well, you're building an oligopoly. That's what you're trying to become, right? Because you've been better and you want to hold on to that as long as you can, because it's really difficult to do. There's so much competition in tech. And when you get that big, you are going to have the ire. Like, I'd almost say, like, the point at which the regulators don't care about Alphabet anymore, we probably don't care to own it anymore. And that's not trying to be negative toward the consumer or that I think Meta is some rosy company. No, not at all. I'm just looking at it from the aspect of what makes Alphabet dominant, what makes Meta dominant to a certain extent. And you like it or not, it is going to be pushing the envelope and putting profits first. And when you stop doing that, that might be better for everybody, but it might not be better for them. So and we appreciate it and love the comment. I think it's an important thing to say. We're just talking about why you might like the stock. Because most of the time, if you're in tech, you are not just holding on. It ain't the Canadian banks where you got an oligopoly because that's the structure of things. No, you get it because you're able to dominate and you try to have a stranglehold on that business. Not everybody can be an ASML. Sometimes it's going to be a little bit different. That said, if we come back over to the markets, I saw a lot of people talking about what is going to die the fastest. Right now, well, I'm just what's going down, what's dying the fastest. Joe said 145 in SpaceX. We're at that 145.
Yeah.
We put a poll up this morning, which I don't think it's still up, but that's fine. I didn't get a chance to see the results of it. And because it was effectively, we're talking about the market. Well, yes, sorry, it was yesterday. It wasn't, this was about, I think it was like 37%, 33%, and then whatever the remainder was, maybe like another 30%. And that was whether you were already long SpaceX, which there was a lot.
Yeah.
Whether you are never interested, and I think that was the 30%. And then the 33% was waiting for lower. So the question to the 33% that were waiting for lower, is low enough for you yet? Or are we still waiting for 135? Because I keep looking over and thinking, well, that 135 stink bid is probably this week at the rate that we're headed to the downside. So, you know, if you're buckled up and waiting for it to get lower, if you're a Tesla shareholder, maybe this news is considered to be good for you because you own some Tesla, meaning you might get it in the future. But that, for some reason, isn't being received very well with SpaceX. That they seem to think it's a good idea. They could merge. And that would probably take a while, and then the regulators are going to have their own beans. That merger would have all kinds of regulatory hurdles, but that doesn't mean it wouldn't happen. But they're not liking it at all.
No, they're not. Thank you, Gworev, for your very nice comments there on the short on SpaceX. As Neil mentioned, we had wrote it down already earlier, and that's why we're short. 150 short SpaceX, 148 from there, which is where we started to cover. Well, we started to cover everywhere, but here's the short on SpaceX. 148 was a good level there. There's the first cover. We covered right there at 148.50. Then we started covering again at 148.50s, and then it came all the way back to the downside. And then we said also, watch out for 145. And I want to thank Joe again for that little look as well. 145, possible bottom today. There. So looking at the options, and that's where we're starting to cover again there on SpaceX. Back to the desk with Adara, I believe.
A couple different stories I want to talk about. For one, I believe you mentioned it, Sean, but DKNG did get a little bit of a midday burst. I just saw apparently Michael Burry announced that he bought shares of the company. That could be what led to this pop. I couldn't find exactly when he started saying this, but again, I'm just seeing this circulate now, so I didn't want to mention that. I also want to talk here about SXRH. I'm seeing some people in the chat mention this, or sorry, XRXH. SRXH. The company is called SRX Global. Not a ton of volume on this. Currently trading here around $1.50. Eric Jackson, who, as we know, was on the show a couple months ago, or last month, I believe, he's posting about the company right now, saying that, you know, they had no choice but to do their one for 60 reverse split, and has said that, quote, the business has never been in a stronger position. So Eric Jackson talking up SRXH stock to the upside. We're going to send it over to Sia for a segment.
Thank you, Adara, for that. Let's take a look by starting at the three major averages. The SPY currently down 0.4%. The triple Qs are down mostly flat, but it's still a little bit inching towards the red. The Dow down 1% and the IWM down 1%, respectively. Let's take a look at what we're looking at. Just an update about, we were talking about Delta Airlines and United Airlines today. So overall, in majority of these airline stocks are edged down today after the U.S. has signaled that it would abandon its ceasefire with Iran. So AAL on the day is down nearly 4%. UAL has declined roughly 2.5% during the same period, and Delta down almost 2% here. Southwest Airlines is also down 1.9%, and JBLU down 2.3% on the day.
Okay, yeah.
Anyone like the airlines right now? I think there's going to be an opportunity here in the airlines and the cruise lines. But the problem is, you're going to be very headline driven. I don't know. Look, forget about the airlines for a quick little second. I have an idea where to look for a bounce on CCL because it has bounced the same level for a few months now, all year long. $24 CCL. That's been the spot. So it's a day, maybe a day and a half this week's worth of work. Let's just say, because only a couple days left in this week. So I think that's a spot to look for a little bit of a rebound here. Do you really think that no progress? Fine. I understand that we're right now looking at a re-escalation, but things aren't as bad as they were in the beginning. I think that's a pretty easy thing to think. And I think a nice rebound, or at least a temporary rebound, can come in the next couple of days. East meets Westy Bestie back again. Thanking for addressing the comments and concerned about the reporting on U.S. litigation. And we appreciate it. I think that's the thing that sometimes will get lost. And I know this happens. You'll hear us talk about looking short on a stock on a day trade where you might actually like the long on a higher time frame. And it's always important to clarify these things. So I think you're absolutely right about that. There's a big difference between liking a day trade one direction or another and simply thinking, okay, well, today it's a short, but you know what, I like this bounce level on an individual stock. I think it's at a pretty decent support spot. But it doesn't matter if you still think it's going to go down from 9 to 11 o'clock in the morning or 9:30 to 11. You've got to be able to say that. Like, I'll tell you, like, I'm literally stink bidding on SpaceX and hoping to get it on tomorrow. But, you know, I was short too. Like, it's just, you have to separate those two parts of your brand, I think, a lot of times. That's pretty important, especially if you are going to be actively trading.
SpaceX at all-time lows and just took down 145.50. Yeah. Yeah. So Jets ETF. I mean, this is what we talk about when you talk about the airline. So thanks for Sia for that one. You don't have to really pick and choose. Whether or not I heard on the midday show talking about, you know, American versus Delta versus this versus that, all wrapped up into one. I think it's the major five are all basically in this ETF there, and then you can check out the percentages, but it's there at Delta, Southwest, American Airline, Air Canada. You know, probably WestJet there from the Canadian side of things. But there it is, man. You are coming back in. And obviously, as you know, one of the major costs of airlines is going to be jet fuel. And we've seen here a rise today in USO, although it's coming back right now. That's part of the, you know, the situation here with what's going on with the airlines. And it's just, you know, with travel, I think the airlines are going to do real well with that World Cup number that comes through. I mean, I don't know. I saw in Vancouver yesterday, I saw basically one little slot there of Swiss fans and everybody else Colombian like crazy. I know Canada has a big Colombian you know, population as well. But anyways, just think that all that travel is something there. We could also talk about Netflix. Netflix battling right now. VP fans are in, they should shoot our ships. US will respond. Yeah, no surprise there. Who has the bigger you-know-what will wind up winning that one. Jets, and then we'll also go over to, what I was talking about, there was Netflix. Netflix trying to get into the business now of FIFA. And, you know, no more of a corrupt organization. So you could try to get in with them, but if you don't pay them, you may not be able to. Netflix willing to do that, willing to pay a whole bunch of money to get involved with the 2030 and then the 2034. Yeah, that's the split. Our charts don't show it. 2030, 2034 Olympic World Cup. So you know, as the battle continues and rages on for rights to live sports, Netflix, and it's just a story going around whether or not they, you know, actually get it, because you got to fight with Fox, who has some games now. ABC has some games. Obviously, here in Canada, it's on Crave and TSN. And Canada is a different story a little bit because of the way that works here for the CRTC. But at the end of the day, you know, Netflix fighting for their life right now, as it's just been hit pretty badly down to the downside off of that Warner Brothers miss. And I don't think they missed. I mean, they didn't get it. I don't think it's in the world not to get content. I do think live sports is what's it. And we're going to wait to see as baseball, not pushing the needle, but NFL will. And when NFL comes through, and then there's NCAA, as we talk about NIL, right? Those rights coming through and, you know, more money, more games being watched. I think they can get it all figured out. I don't like Netflix now, but I like it if they can announce, you know, that they do have a deal or something going on there with the World Cup. I think Netflix can be bought, and we'll see where it goes from here.
One important thing about, because like the numbers are being reported were like record numbers. Obviously, every single time a new TV deal gets reached in any live sports, it's always going to be a record because whatever, prices only go up, money constantly gets printed. But this time they're selling the rights to both English and Spanish as one instead of separating them. So that's going to make it a whole different type of bag. So when you start thinking, oh, but don't even compare it like dollars for dollars to previous contracts. This is going to be more expensive. I think I would tend to agree. Live sports, like that is the last bastion saving everything. Because you see this with the World Cup, man. It's what people will go through to make sure that they're seeing it in real time, right? You saw it live on the show, like Shreve watching it. I experienced it with like literally everyone I talked to or saw in England the morning after they played that match, which was an hour late and was supposed to start at 1 a.m. and started at 2 a.m. Anyone you talked to in the morning was like the Walking Dead because they had to see it live. It's that simple. And I think that's where there's a lot of competition. Apple's been doing an okay job. You've got Amazon Prime as well. So you've got a lot of competition. Netflix badly needs to come out on top because all of these other streamers They don't need to. Apple doesn't need to make money with Apple TV. Amazon doesn't need to make money with Amazon with Prime Video. It would be nice if they do. Disney probably does, but with Netflix, they're the ones that do the best. But that's the core. That's it. That's it for them. So they really have to make sure they win. There is an opportunity in gaming, but that hasn't really picked up as much as you would have liked to for them. They'd be an interesting one if you ever talked about like some kind of a merger with a gaming company. There's something there. Or even like a Spotify. Like you wonder, it's like, what could Netflix do?
Netflix has podcasts on and everything.
Yeah, I know they do, but it's like, if there's something that could shake things up, you don't wonder if there's like, it's somewhere down the line, some kind of a merger. Gaming to me makes the most sense. Like you'd think there'd be obvious synergies instead of Netflix trying to make gaming work for themselves.
How much is Netflix worth? You know what? Apple should just buy them. Let me see.
Well, that would be nice.
Netflix, yeah.
But Apple doesn't do major acquisitions.
Yeah, but they
That's
should.
not their bag.
No, I'm just saying that.
They've never really been to it.
Just trying to spice things up. Yeah, okay, so market cap of 320 right now, 320 billion. Remember, they had their goal of 1 trillion market cap. They're not even anywhere near that right now, but 320 billion. Apple, they have a $100 billion share buyback on right now. So, they're obviously rather buy their own stock than other names. And the only reason I say Apple is because they do have the gaming there. Apple has, all the cloud, all the storage. They have the user base, huge, could wrap it up all into one. Like I'm at $50 a month for Apple Music, Apple TV. I think it's 2 terabytes of storage shared amongst the family. There's more things involved in it, but whatever else there is, they're the fitness or whatever else there is there with Apple. And I think there could be something there. That's obviously just me spitballing and giving an idea roughly that has not been vetted at all right now. But okay, so the TQ's right back there to the upside as we continue to go. Good move right back into the highs again. So, more outs, more life, more outs right there on the TQQ. So that one's starting to go as well. We're just going to, look, man, I mean, I've already said what I have to on SpaceX. This is, just that trade. And it's like, it's downside here. It was, an idea that we had obviously written down earlier today. Like the short, just continue to take it. And today we didn't even mess around by going long. We only started short. We went short, started short, and short. So yeah, that's what we're doing right now. Waiting to see what the next little movement here is in SpaceX off that 145. I'm going to put, Actually, I don't have another bid down there. I'm going to put another bid right at like 145. Let's go to 16 or so, just ahead of 145 flat. Joe had mentioned there, just about potentially some calls down there and some size. So it definitely will be traded around that area today. And that's just a big, that's a big $5. Now it's now $6 in the money, but that's big. It's all morning for you guys. And we did get stopped out right there at 150 when it broke. Not really sure why I didn't give it to that high, but it was ripping back to the upside off of a 148.50, which was initially something that we had marked as a warning spot. But there it comes all the way back up, 150. We re-shorted it once it didn't get going. And remember, this trade that's now $6 in the money has a 50-cent stop. Its stop was 52. Because when we didn't get there, I just said, let's stop out at 52. Now, looking back at it, we should have, because of how far this went, we could have given it a little bit more of a stop. But again, 50 cents here and there works out for us, works out for me. And, now it's going to be obviously my number one P&L stock for myself here today is going to be this one, SpaceX, down to 145 and change. I keep getting asked about, when's the next time to buy by lots of people. And I don't even have a bid out. I want to see what happens at that 135. I wouldn't be surprised if we get that look tomorrow. And then we just go from there and we see what kind of size. There's going to be lots of size. I think, I probably have 5% of SpaceX of what I do, NVIDIA and all these other names. So, we are very, very aware that there's more to come here for SpaceX. And I want to be long. This is a name that I think want to have in the portfolio for, again, many years, hopefully.
Ever.
And maybe forever there. I mean, I won't have anything forever. I got to, once we retire, I'm going to look
I think it's a figure of speech.
Yeah, I know, but sometimes people say, like, you say, like, I'm giving this to my daughter and all that kind of stuff. I'm just going to liquidate everything, put it into a RIF, probably get involved with an index fund or something like that. But yeah, SpaceX, I definitely like the next, what's on the horizon for them over the next decade or so. And then hopefully at that point, you may no longer see me, but we can maybe be in the background. We can
well, the 135, just to throw this out there.
Would love
like,
to
there was zero scientific for me. Like, after that first cup, like that first, I think it was on day 2 or something, I just immediately was like, okay, I'm gonna put a bid down in front of the 150 so that I get picked up. And it was like, I think it was like 7 or 8% of what I want to own in it. And then the next bid gets me to like 20%. I put those 2 bids in. I was like, and they were good for, I think, 3 months. I'd have to go back and check. So I'm just sitting there, and there's nothing scientific. After that point, I'm going to start to care about earnings and all the other good stuff, and maybe timing it a little bit better. But I think ultimately, when you just want to own something in the long term, so many times I've been picky about it, and I look back and I end up regretting it. You know, getting way too picky. And the example I always use, because, hey, like, this is a show we're all looking to do better. I got to go to where's my e-signal? Oh, no. Oh, maybe my e-signal crashed. Dang it. Okay.
Well, you were saying you're having those PC issues before.
Yeah, whatever. It doesn't, I've been having some issues with the PC today. But ARM, if I go from a daily to like a monthly chart, I'll be able to show this. I liked ARM, loved ARM, wanted to own the IPO, but I thought I was really smart in thinking it was going to initially go down. It went from a top of like 75 to bottoming out at like 49 or in the underneath 50. And I was thinking I was going to get it at 30 or 40 based on like some like private prices I probably looked up and thought were cool levels. And so I was waiting for those prices and then watched it rally and didn't really get it till it broke out. So this was the IPO breakout above 80, and then I was just a buyer from 80 to 100. Or I could have been just blindly DCAing in and had shares at like $50. You know, so if you like the story, and you want to buy it, and you just try to get in because you believe in it. So I think that makes sense. Sometimes going to put this back to a daily before I forget. And by the way, ARM actually not really having that great of a day. Another red session. Ooh, this is
There's some names not doing that well.
288 on ARM, flat bottom break. Ooh, this is still close to the lows. That doesn't look very healthy. ARM might be a flat bottom break short. The market is back to green at the highs. This is cruising back into the lows and still looking pretty bad. It's still an expensive stock. It's at a bounce level. So you'd give it a chance. If it can hold this 288 to 290 area, maybe you get a bit of a trend break. But tomorrow, got to at least be thinking about a flat bottom break on those. For the afternoon, the only thing that's new was the Rivian trend break. So there it is, breaking the day-long trend. Stop is just above 60, so got the 1-to-1. Looking for this to press down into about 16.25. Not necessarily VWAP. We've seen a little bit of strength in Rivian today, getting all the way into green for RIVN. Can't really hate on that. They just raised debt. And obviously they're going to need to. Let's be real. They're losing a boatload of money every time they sell vehicles. So, you know, they're burning cash, but they're going to need that capital. They were able to go to the markets to do so and have pulled out a higher low and have bounced to 50 in the 200. This would be a prime example of taking like a reversion short trade, but this actually looks like a good long bounce spot on the daily chart in Rivian. I would agree with that. Upward sloping 200-period moving average, how many stocks can you say that for? Think about it. How many companies that are losing, that margins are negative, have an upward sloping 200-period moving average? I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's probably not very many, if any. I can't.
No,
I can't think of one that would be in that category where, okay, you got negative margins, upward sloping 200, maybe something in, maybe like a space company.
Maybe when quantum was going well.
Yeah, but not only quantum stocks would be anymore.
No, I don't think now.
Maybe like yeah, it would have to be a space company. That's probably the only thing that could have that characteristic.
Yeah, we could. I mean, I
Rocket
wouldn't
Labs,
have even
maybe.
thought about Rivian, but that was a good look there. And as Randy had mentioned earlier too, like, you know, on days that are down, if you like the stock, and you know, we were like, Rivian's down another 4% like it was earlier, and Randy was like, great, want to pick some up. I don't think he did, but that would be, if you have conviction and hopefully a little bit more, then Randy's still waiting for $10 or something. So, you know, if you do have that conviction, you got to get involved and see what's going on. What about a top break right now with AMD? That's, you know, as the market, I'm still long the market here. We're 50 cents in the money on the TQQs. I'm not going to say we're long the futures. We're long the market. A triple levered product with the TQQs. You can see that below. Yeah, so I was going to say AMD looking to break right now. I mean, what a good level to break, because we've held VWAP, we've held the 200 period moving average, and now we're starting to slope the other way now. Oopsies on AMD, and upside. So break rate there, upside, and the reason why I say the other way, down 0.2% today. AMD looking to get positive. Maybe the more I talk about it, the more it goes up. But yeah, there goes AMD looking to break through right there, 515.50 or so. Good opportunity, anyways, for AMD and the long. And I don't necessarily want to take that at 515 and give it to 511, but that's the VWAP trade there. So yeah, good little look here for AMD. I would say you want to give it about $1. The spread is 20 cents alone. So just the spread being 20 cents, you can't take 20 cents. See, like right there, if you went long at 515, you're already 50 cents now worth of a spread. So all the trading in between, and you just got to be careful if you're using a decent amount of shares, that you are going to be suffering through sort of either bad wicks or liquidity grabs or whatever there with advanced micro devices. But yeah, it looks like a decent little long break coming in, and just because it acts like that doesn't mean it's not tradable. You just want to maybe lower your shares and open up your stops a little bit there, so you don't get sort of wicked out and you say, oh my God, look what happened to me. Getting out at the bottom or top is part of trading, and sometimes you just get the worst outs, and sometimes you get great fills as well. SpaceX, we're going to go to see in a second. SpaceX still having a problem with 145 and change, so we'll have to wait to see how that goes right now. But we're going to go over to Sia and see what she's up to.
The IWM currently inching down close to 1%. Let's take a look at our individual ticker picks for right now. TVRD, Tvardi Therapeutics is up 54% on the day. So the company has reported a phase 1 result of their next-gen oral small molecule drug called the TTI-109 that has converted to TTI-101, which achieves the same kind of exposure to improved gastrointestinal tolerability. So the shares are up following this news announcement over there. So KOS, Cosmos Energy, is up almost 3%. The company will be hosting their earnings via a webcast on the 3rd of August of 2026. That's on a Monday. And AGIO, Agios Pharmaceuticals, is down 0.7% on the day. So Agios Pharmaceuticals shares had risen yesterday, but have quickly taken a turn after FDA has granted the company a priority review for a sickle cell disease treatment.
If you got a treatment for sickle cell, then I'm rooting for you. I don't care what the company.
Treatment for anything.
Sickle cell is one of the. That is a cold, cruel disease, man.
Let's go.
It's like kids the worst. Oh, anyways, yeah, root for them for sure. I think it's easy to get behind, but man, it is such a tough business developing a drug.
Oh yeah,
that's a super hard business. That's why I hate to bring this back to the same name over and over and over and over again. But that's why whenever I look at the reason I got blind luck into Eli Lilly, sometimes like just having a company that proves they can do something difficult and get it to scale in the first place, when they prove they could do with Alzheimer's and then backed into the GLP, when you find a company that executes, they just keep winning and winning and winning, and then it executes something else you didn't even see coming, and then all of a sudden you've got a winner. I think that's part of the reason why you might believe in an Alphabet they can stay ahead of the curve. And I know I'm going to get a lot of flack because not everyone loves Elon, but that's a reason to believe, say in like a SpaceX, because Elon they've defied expectations before. So not to bring it back to Lilly, all-time highs again, by the way. I just want to throw that one out there. Well, yesterday all-time highs, and close enough today. I think it did actually tick and just barely break out before we were tracing a little bit. But sometimes the brand is the wrong way to think about it, but it's maybe it's company culture, leadership, execution. All these things matter, and if you got a good one, ride with it. I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Speaking of like leadership, we have on our team a doppelganger for the leader at Rivian. That'd be Brendan. He does look a little bit like the CEO of Rivian. I think, well, he dressed up as him before, but it is heading back into the downside. Remember I said this is not about VWAP for me. I'm looking at 16 quarter or so on the pullback. So if it gets down to 16 quarter and shows a bounce, I'd try to get it out there instead of looking for the ultimate pullback. Because I do still think this is at a good bounce spot and an overall bullish stock, I think, Rivian. And you juxtapose this with what's going on. Like, look at Lucid. I know they're
Lucid
not
already
direct.
split 10 to 1 already.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
20
this is
cent stock.
If you're a hedge fund and you're just like, okay, what kind of an edge could I have? But you got deep pockets. Wait for a company that loses lots of money to reverse split and then just average into the short as it goes up. Like, I can't tell you how many times can the average person do that? Probably not, because what are you doing when it starts breaking out? It goes from 15 to 25. Like, are you holding that? Most people probably aren't stomaching that. But look at this thing. Hasn't even tried to catch a bid. Like, this could be a $3 stock or a $2 stock again by the end of the year, and they just did a reverse split. So I'll grant you, Rivian's looking, by any measure, compared to what some of the other EV companies that are losing money look like, Rivian looks pretty darn good. Not to harp on them. Tesla getting beat down. They're not liking the SpaceX news here any better in Tesla, as that's heading into the lows. About to break LOD here on Tesla. I think this one gets okay. Wait for 360. That's a local bottom. Everything about this still looks pretty weak. That 420, man. I don't know what it was about that 420 level, but it hit there Monday, hit there yesterday, hard Uno reverse card, and if this loses 390, it's another flat bottom break. There's a lot of flat bottom breaks setting up here.
Yeah, and if you like,
Tesla.
I was gonna say, if you like stocks that are down 90+% from their IPO, Rivian might be the stock for you. I like the name, but looking at Lucid, I worry about it, and we do like Tesla for other reasons other than automotive, of course. Talk about another reason why maybe to like or maybe not to like Tesla is SpaceX. And, it's the number one name, or maybe NVIDIA was, and then SpaceX was up there as well. One of the number one names to look at there today. Yeah, there it is. Oh, we got them both. SpaceX and NVIDIA, that followed by SDOT, followed by Micron, followed by Battalion there. Just looking around at what's going on there at SpaceX. Brand new all-time lows right now for SpaceX. I'm bidding 145.16. That's where we're at right now. Once it breaks 20s, we will get that 16 right now. See, this is the day trader in me. I see the size immediately as if it actually means anything. That's only 6,000 shares. We've done 45 million shares on the day, but immediately I was like, oh man, maybe I should have scalped out in front of that. That's why I have so many outs here. When I tend not to look at things is when the move actually happens, which is why I take a position, put out bids and offers, and then even with a stop order and get out of here. Never try to hold more than maybe a third or so of the position. I don't want to be irresponsible. Anything can happen at any time, but I do trust the stop orders, and I think that if you guys are looking for a reasonable place to trade, that has great risk management and all of that. Neil and I sitting here, and I've been here for 24 years, maybe. Yeah, that's right. Real trading, just really, I really do trust. I mean, even with the amount of shares, which is probably an irresponsible amount of SpaceX shares that I had off the IPO, I still used and trusted and wish I didn't use it because it worked so well, the stop order function here at Real Trading. And, it got me out, and then the thing absolutely ripped. Thankfully, we punched back in, giving me the biggest day in my career on SpaceX IPO. But at the end of the day, it's something to be trusted there. Set it and forget it is what we say sometimes around here. And I never take a trade without putting in a stop order, at least thinking about the stop first and where that would be located. And like I said, with the SpaceX trade, short at 150, even when we took, or 60, even when we took this trade, the stop was right up in here, $52. So 40 cents worth of a trade to give you this much. But of course, we scalp out of it. We don't have too many of these shares left, probably less than 10% at this point, but just holding it to see what winds up happening. I think we could probably punch out a little bit more if it breaks through 146, but you guys are looking for more trades. I think we could do that when we get back. We got to go. Are we going back there? Nope. Okay, perfect. So let's start looking around. I was going to say the only name on my list that is outsized move today. Now we go as soon as I start talking there? No, so we don't go to see it yet. We're going to wait a couple minutes. Here goes Alibaba now. Great. So 11.5% right there for Alibaba. Like, I was looking at my little board here. Alibaba 11, SOX-L is moving. We had the Broadcom story, and again, of course, Alibaba, great story. There's no doubt about that. We had talked about it, and we got some nice super chats. I want to thank you guys for that talk, because I was talking about it last week, liking it in and around these levels just because of how beat up it was. And we talked about it with tokens and whatnot there with my boy Joe. Shout out to Joe sitting over here watching the market as well. But yeah, there's the nice move there for Alibaba. And that was really the only one on the green side. Occidental did get a report as well today. I think it was an upgrade or something there for Occidental. So they're up nicely, cruising 4%. USO up 2.5%. On the downside, there's really nothing that is overly extended downside right now. Well, I think Boeing maybe.
What about the cybersecurity names?
Yeah, down 3%. I actually don't even track those on my watch.
Pan W's at the low.
Yeah, that's down 5%.
Yeah, down 5% at the low.
That's a little dramatic there for Pan W, but the same kind of ways. These names have gone huge up. I mean, I could say, there are going to be some names that obviously are not producing that well today, and I actually didn't even look recently. Micron's a NASDAQ name, of course, at what Micron was doing. Yeah, back upside right now. So yeah, I think maybe the cyber names would be some of the worst ones. But other than that, man, I think I could add CrowdStrike now to my watch list. I didn't have it on before when it was at $600, but now down.
With the split,
sorry, $800. Now that we're up to 190 and change, as Joe loving CrowdStrike there as well. Great call, by the way, Joe, on that pick there for CrowdStrike. Joe's got CrowdStrike, Walmart, JPM, maybe the best portfolio out of all of us there. We can check the leaderboard after this, though, don't worry. But yeah, that's CrowdStrike. We'll check that out. And then also another one, as you mentioned there, Pan W. I'm not willing to put more money to work in these names yet. I think if there is going to be a move down, then we should wait for it. But 360 to 370, down to 318. Actually, yeah, that's pretty good off the top. That's 360 down now, basically $40 off of that. So 10% move. Yeah, there's not even, down into here maybe. I hope that doesn't happen, but we sat here long enough to know what goes up sometimes can come back down. And what's back there behind us, waiting very patiently, I want to say thank you to that one, is Sia. Let's go find out what's up with her update at 3 p.m.
What's up, Sean, is that we're recapping the sector and how it's doing right now. The SPY is currently sliding a bit down. It's down 0.3% at the moment, almost flat, but still a bit in the red. Let's take a look at what the sectors are doing right now. NVIDIA leading the pack, electric tech up almost 4% of the day. Apple's up 1%. We have AVGO. We had news about AVGO today with regards to Apple up 5.2% on the day. AMD trading flat at the moment, followed by INTC, GERTX sliding south of 2%. We have Cisco down up on the day 1.4%, followed by MU up 0.6%. Tech services, you have Google, Meta, and Microsoft in the red still. Google is down 2.23%, followed by Meta down 1.4%, and Microsoft down 1.3%. Oracle also continuing to slide. Seems like it has made a reversal just a little bit. Was down earlier 2.3% on the day, but currently it's down 1.6%. Netflix trading flat, with IBM and Palantir also continuing to slide a little bit into the bearishness here. And PA&W down 5.5%. In finance, we have big names. BRKB, JPM, Visa, MasterCard, BAC all down in the red. I would see we have Amex also sliding further into the red, with bearishness down 4.28%. Retail trade, we have Amazon down 1.4%, yes, but Costco, Walmart holding that bullish momentum from earlier in the trading sessions as well. Walmart's up 1.3%, followed by Costco up, closing and inching 1%. HD is continuing to slide down 2.7%, followed by TJX. So producer manufacturing looks a little bit strong here, mixed sentiment at the latter sector of the board. AMAT is up almost 4% on the day, followed by CAT up close to 1%, LRCX up 2%. Consumer non-durables, we have utilities and communications, a bit of a mixed sentiment throughout these three sectors. Energy minerals, XOM continues to stay flat from earlier when I did my sector watch around 12:30 p.m. We have CVX up 1% as well. Tesla and consumer durables continuing to slide to the downside, 3% almost on the day. Health tech, we have Lilly and J&J. Lilly's down 1% and J&J down 0.57%, ABBV flat at the moment. And For process industries, I would say much of it is, yes, still in the red, but we have names like ADM, DOW up over 2% on the day. And transportation, like I mentioned, Uber has made a little bit of a reversal, but still down on the day, 1.2%. UPS continuing to slide 2%. The only name that's green in this sector is ODFL. That's trading flat, but up 0.68%. That's all for your sector watch. Right back to the guys.
Thank you, Sia. And
good looks.
Almost like a sector of its own is NVIDIA. They are one of one when it comes to size and scope, and it's at up 4%. And Alex in the chat, we get it. We get it. NVIDIA 220.
Let's go.
NVIDIA 220. It's not at 220 right now, but you're excited that for a chance to get there. It's hard to disagree. Already sort of said I really like this bounce off the 200-period moving average. Can we just settle on 210, the 50-period for this week, and we can worry about 220 on Wednesday of next week? I don't know, I'm just going to throw that out there. We got a super chat here from Francisco. Thank you. You're looking at Qs, 50 SMA, 7-11-66. You're holding for the second day. Close, but no break above. Drop coming. So you're worried a little bit about the drop. Well, we talked about there were a lot of individual names in the NASDAQ that have this like flat bottom-ish look where it's like, yes, we have bounced, but if you look under the hood, it makes you not as excited about like the breadth and how far we've actually come. And when I look at the Qs, like the first thing I care about closes more than I do opens. And you had the close here to end the week last week at about 712. You're talking 711.66, right? So that's above that resistance point. You got the flashpoint breakdown in yesterday's trade, which ended up closing a little bit lower. Our bounce was unable to do anything with either one of those resistance levels. Even here on strength in the afternoon, NVIDIA is going up like a bat out of you know what, and you're still kind of barely holding on to green here on the Qs and still running into that resistance. So yes, if you don't push through this, it does feel all for naught. You put up the daily chart, it's still looking like a bull flag, but we're under the 50 period. It's forming a bit of a wedge, and wedges can break lower too. So I'm kind of with you on the price level being key. I'd maybe say that's 712, maybe even extend a little bit further. You could have like a false break of that level. There's a lot still looking bearish. And if there's a couple of names, Tesla obviously stands out a little bit. We're talking about ARM, where they're on the precipice. And if it gets a little bit uglier, you could really start to drag some things down. NVIDIA can't just hold the market up by itself. And it just tagged 205 and did a bit of a curl. We get a topping tail on NVIDIA. I mean, even right now, this is looking like a topping tail on NVIDIA, starting to get a reverse. My first thought is Intel, because they were junk today and they're at VWAP. So Intel's down 2.7%. If we're headed lower, might look for a VWAP break here if that was just a top on NVDA. Rather not short the strongest name in the market, but Intel's one of the weaker chip names today. If not, I don't want to say the weakest because I haven't looked at them all, but it was certainly one of the weakest names.
Yeah, it's not, and definitely
it's
not one of the stronger names. That's for sure. Yeah, AMD was right. Yeah, here's another one here. I want to say a big shout out to someone in the chat there. I lost you because it was a minute ago. Emra, what's up, Emra, in the chat for bringing up SRXH. So thank you for bringing this one to your boys' attention right now. And apparently there was a report. I saw this news, and if Adara's back there, she can help me out with this. But SRX shares global trading higher after the company announced an estimated net asset value of $3.07 per share with Adara, a special dividend of 5 cents.
So I think the move up is more after Eric Jackson commented on it.
Right.
Talked about the company because it kind of spiked in the afternoon. That's when Eric Jackson goes, whatever, this company, this valuation is great. Yes, they had a reverse split, but it was only because they had to stay in the NASDAQ.
That's what it was, okay.
Whatever. But yeah, that's why I moved.
Yeah. No, good one there. And I remember you had obviously talked about that Eric Jackson name, and I lost the symbol, but there it is there, SRXH. And thanks to Dara for bringing that up. And it's really too bad that I didn't show a little bit more love to that story in the beginning, because it came back into one, like that gap up there on Eric Jackson hey, maybe we could have him back up there into 140, 130. Dare did a great job with him that day a couple weeks ago. We talked about Open Door. He talked about a few of the other names as well. That was really fun to have him here. But 139 to 140, yeah, good level. And then there it goes. Boom goes the dynamite there on SRXH. It's not like we haven't seen this move before. It was literally 2 days ago that we were up here at 220. So if you guys, again, that's the reverse split. So as Adair mentioned, it's been up here, but today it's now, going on news. So we'll have to wait to see if that 220 or so level is being held out for SRXH there on your NYSE American exchange, on Amex name. Today, the Amex is winning, man. They've got a lot of names today, Battle, so on and so forth. This might, I was gonna say, this could halt. Like, it doesn't, but Amex, we looked at that yesterday. Like, Amex names don't seem to halt the same way.
The band's up at 240.
Yeah, so I don't know, but we'll just, maybe our bands aren't right, halt bands. But
it's 20% it's syndicated.
I guess it's because it was 215 was the high. So if it has to run up to 240, I guess the math will check out at the end of the day. But there it goes. We'll see if it comes right back in again. I would look for a halt short on this, but yeah, a lot of social media, as Adair had mentioned there. What's up to Bovin as well, talking a little bit about it as we continue to go on. Nothing else is halting right now. That S dot was still in the 20s, although that did make a move into $13 or $11 right there. Not doing a whole heck of a lot right now. BATL, you're in.
NVVEs, all the way back into VWAP. It doesn't seem like it. Down halt on the NVVE. It was running. It tried to make a fresh high. It's back into VWAP. Dwindling volume is the case. That's the same thing with Battle. Like Battle, like maybe it doesn't want to completely die. Like it's holding the bottom end of the range. I'm on the bid near the low. Like just kind of tagging in front of the low of the day. But I'm looking for not today's low ultimately. I want to get tagged and see if it can't press into yesterday's low. Or I should have a bid at 150 because for some reason yesterday this barcoded for an hour and a half at $1.50 even. So that's another 7 pennies down. Going to get a bid out in front of that because it just makes sense. I'm just looking for the retracement back into some of the lows. You're looking at what's happening with oil. It feels like the market went from we care about oil to let's see if NVIDIA can drag everything higher.
Yeah.
It's trying. I don't know if it's going to be able to. But USO has been pretty sideways since it hit the bottom. It didn't get to the morning lows. So there's still a little bit of room that maybe it could fall. But again, volume kind of tapering off a little bit. There haven't been any, no afternoon crazy headlines. I mean, outside of some obvious comments from Vance. If they hit our ships, we'll hit them back. Yes. Well,
I know. I mean, it's like we expected that, no?
You wonder about it's the theater of saying that. Like, we need to say this. I guess.
I think it's just like letting people know what's good, basically. But yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. The way I see it, like you think you got the biggest stick. You don't really even need to advertise.
Yeah, you don't need to wave it around everywhere.
You could just could look at the camera. If I had the U.S. Army, I would sort of just be like, yeah. Okay. Try me. I'll leave it at that. Try me.
Yeah, I mean,
That's how I roll.
We have the Canadian Army, so anyone.
Oh yeah, the Canadian Army.
Come test us, no problem. We will finally get some submarines in 2034, and you don't want to come around us, man. In the next 8 years, by the time that those start being developed, man, you don't want to get any of ours. That was Tyson Krupp or something like that was the maker of those there in Germany. They got a nice little bump because of that. Okay, just real quick, man. Whatever. It's so funny that, I sat here when SpaceX went down into 30 and I saw that bid at 30 and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to get in front of it. It's going to break that. I'm going to get, or was it at 20s even? It was 20s. Sorry, my bad. 20s. So we were sitting 4 cents under that. And I was like, it's going to break and then we're going to get swiped and, we'll definitely grab that fill. Well, you saw me talking that live. Since then, it's been up 50 cents. It doesn't really seem to want to come back in. If anything, we just rejected 146 again. But I moved that order because, you know what? $6 in the money as opposed to $6.30 in the money. It's still, I know, 30 cents is 30 cents. It doesn't really matter where it comes from. But I would rather, sacrifice that 30 cents, take the bid at $6. Here, as soon as I say that, here it comes, it's going to come crashing in, which is fine if it does. But just to let you know that I did take it out there, some out anyways, at 145.60. And, I hope I mean,
What's
you
happening
guys,
on Meta?
you know, can follow. Oops, that's the wrong thing, not the heat map. You guys can follow us if you so like. But I do want to say a big shout out to all 5,000, and even if I refresh this, it might even be more, that have looked right now. This is the #1 post here, if this even loads, that we put out every single day. 6,500 now of you checking out our my sticky note there. So, you know, thank you to everybody for bringing that up and or into your life every morning. And there it is, the SpaceX short. We talked about USO 109 long. We can have a quick look at that. If you want to go get it, I'll put that in the chat. I'll put the link right now, and you guys can go have a look. And whatever, if you don't have X or whatever, it's also on Instagram. Go find the Instagram feed there. 8,000 or 9,000 followers there, not as many as X. All right, so that's SpaceX. What I want to look at was USO. I haven't looked at this pretty much all day. We had we looked at it off the open, but not since there. We wrote down 109 into yesterday's close. You know, all that negative talk today didn't really do anything early. And then right now, as we had just mentioned, more threats of, you know, we will, we won't. And yeah, oil coming back down as maybe they're starting to realize that although President Trump and J.D. Vance and whoever from the United States seems to be wanting to get oil lower, but at the same time still willing to be aggressive around the Strait of Hormuz. So I think there's a little bit of back talk, back and forth there. You know, you can't threaten, you know, an oil-bearing nation and then also at the very next time out of the other side of your mouth say, but I think oil's going lower. It's just, I don't know if that's going to happen, but USO today, I would have thought with all this negativity would not be back down into this level and would have maybe not continued its move higher, but up 4 or 5% on a day like today, I thought was reasonable. And I guess maybe whatever I think is not right because oil right now, well back into opening prices. So
there's something happening here on Meta on volume to the downside. Dara has checked. She hasn't seen any news. I haven't heard anything. I've checked X, haven't really seen anything specifically for Meta, but this is on volume, and we're about to get that 600 level again. See, this is the problem. We talked about this the other day. When Meta has good news, try not to get overly excited.
Damn, I should have got it.
Give it a couple of days, because if it can hold on to the gains for more than just 1 or 2 days after a positive story, I think then something has changed here. But if this is just falling because, it doesn't feel like no reason because of the volume spike. But if it is, it's just more of the same. It pops a little bit, runs into a resistance spot, or maybe the 50, and then, or the 200, I guess it couldn't even get to, and then we just start losing the bid. You're back underneath $600. But there has to be a story that we're not hearing on Meta. I wouldn't want to, if it was a story, we'd let you guys know, but I haven't even heard anything in my ear.
Oh, we have a Dara back there.
It really doesn't look like there is anything on social media.
It's crazy.
A, people aren't really mentioning it, which is shocking to me, because usually there's a drop like this, everyone's talking about it. But B, no one seems to know what's going on.
It's like accelerating.
So like the lack of mentions of social media, to me alone, is really suspect.
Sus.
I think Mark Zuckerberg was probably listening this morning when I mentioned this is the one name that I really want to sell. So I don't know if it's him in there selling, and of course we talk about that jokingly. But yeah, right now it is a downside push, Dara, for this name. And yeah, there goes Meta. Big seller alert, I would say for sure, on META, as that name looks to, you know, get waxed down into through $600. And I honestly do not, man, I don't like that stock. And we talked about it earlier today. I'm going to review tonight how many shares I do own in this one and get lighter on it for sure over the next couple of days. Meta. I won't be buying Snapchat. Let me have a look. I see sometimes when one
Snapchat.
thing, no, not buying Snapchat. One thing that's, you know, for sure is whenever we say news down, here we go, report. I have it in my ear right now.
Yeah.
Report being circulated. He's gonna. No, he just said disregard. So he doesn't know either in our ear than the reporter there from Benzinga. So we'll wait. But yeah, Snapchat. Just looking to see if there was maybe something about the whole space there. And again, you know, it could have been a government maybe coming out and talking about, you know, the rights of the youth and all this kind of stuff regarding Alphabet or regarding Snapchat. So I want to look over there at Google as well, because YouTube, part of the story sometimes, as we worry about, you know, what our kids are watching and are not watching. Of course, I don't worry at all, but that's something to look out for there with Google, with Facebook, and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, we'll wait to see what that report is. Hey man, this might be one of the greatest buying opportunities of all time. Just joking about that all-time part. But that whenever you get moves for no reason like that, there's the bounce back straight up $2 off of that. You can either trade that for $2 or you could take some advice. I mean, SpaceX, I think if this breaks 145, you're gonna see another disaster. And yesterday into the close, that's what happened right there when we broke 150 finally. It just went whoopsies and went down to actually, I guess it didn't go down that far. It went down to 148.80. So it didn't even really get too excited, but it was $1 before you could blink. So I do think that, unless you have 182 blinks, I'm not sure where 145 is going to hold or not. And if it does, then it's going to be a huge long. But I'm not playing in front of that one, man. We're still holding on to the short here. And then even the futures not really doing the market not really doing anything. So I'll take another opportunity here, get a 10% of what we have left here at 72.22. And there it is. We get that fill. So more outs there as I'm just holding on to these two names. And then that SXRH, what was it again? SRXH. SRXH. Looks like it halted. That was an old.
No, it hasn't halted.
That was an old one. I had it from 220 was the last halt. Yeah. So that's how dead this little halt scanner is right here that I'm looking at. It's NASDAQ test stocks, then NVVE as well, the last halter, and that's at 230. So right now we're not getting a whole bunch of halt names coming through at all. If anything, a little quiet on the halt stand. But yeah, maybe here we go, man. 220 breaking on SRXH. Bloomberg reporting something now.
He's not finishing his thought.
LA Times reporting. Yeah, Facebook. You'll hear it in a minute, Adara. This guy's stumbling all over this. He's saying something about how their, I think it was their reorg has failed, and just some similar stuff to what Zuckerberg was talking about the other day on that town hall. So maybe another leak to whatever happened in that town hall meeting there, and we'll just wait. It's better I don't report anything.
Yeah, he's like, when the guy reading it's like not very firm about anything that he's saying.
He's like, wait a second here, we got to report, and no, we don't. And,
he's trying to come up. It's almost like don't sit there trying to come up with an explanation. You either have the story, or you don't have the story. The volume was legitimate enough that you feel like there's something there. If it was really low volume, if this same move happened and we hadn't heard a story yet, and the volume was actually pretty low, like lower than the open volume, then you go for the bounce play because whatever. There's not that many people selling into such a big move. Then you look for the bounce. But if there's some juice to this, it's only down 2%. But I almost look for like a sympathy. If something dropped on sympathy, you could try to go long in it. But it's not as if you're getting anything like NVIDIA's. NVIDIA literally hasn't moved. It's just still sitting right off of the highs. Let's get a super chat in here from X2C. Is Boyle the sleeper swing trade? Well, you get every Thursday at 10:30. There's usually a bit of a move in that gas as they have their inventories. Now, ignore daily charts here because obviously these ETFs are going to have their reverse splits and all that stuff, so some of the levels get junked. But this has been making like dip and rip plays for a while. Overall, trend has been down, but it's down 2% when oil is up, and nat gas and oil don't necessarily have to be related, but you can use. We've seen this before, and before I left, I didn't look at it while I was gone. There have been these great reversion bounce plays, specifically after the number on Thursday. So if it holds the low and 10:30 hits and you get a mean reversion, I like that play. It actually was working almost every single, I think it was like 7 out of 8 numbers in a row or something like that. But I didn't really check it the week that I was gone. That could be something tomorrow to look for. It's at a support level. Right now, USL's not really doing anything, but to have it down 2% when oil is up, that's not completely abnormal because it fell much faster when oil pulled back than oil did, and that's just how it plays. They call this thing the widowmaker for a reason. You make your money quick, hopefully, and you try to fight the trend in this, and you tend to get burned. So yeah, I think there's something that could be coming. I'd be looking at the 10:30 trade tomorrow more than anything else, and very, very dead on volume. There's nothing to see here today or this afternoon. And Meta's still pretty much where it was. It's back above 600, but it's not doing much more. The volume's already starting to drop right back in. Rivian moved the stop right back in above this lower high. Came right in. The stop was initially prior bars, but I'll tighten it up just a little bit. Came almost all the way down to target, but if it breaks this consolidation, we'll get out. Don't need this getting all the way back to the high of the day. Like, what's the point here for Rivian? We're able to get something out of it, but it doesn't completely flush. Just felt it was too strong to be looking for VWAP here on RIVN. So you take what you can get. Don't be upset. Battle's still doing exactly the same thing because USO's not going anywhere. But man, it's this meta story. Or lack thereof a story that I feel like is the next shoe to drop. It's whether Meta will hear something that gives us a reason why this would break the 600 again, or maybe this is absolutely nothing. And there's still some room to get into VWAP, but there's clearly something happening, and I want to hear it first.
Yeah, it's not, for me, it's not going to be a super big deal. I mean, I don't know. We'll have to wait, like you said, once it's finally announced. What's up to Aziz into here? Yeah, look, this is why Cerebras is interesting. Obviously, I wish I was here for the IPO, was not. CEO said that they make their own memory in-house. And yeah, no, I know. I was, that day, I remember I was in the hotel room in Minnesota, and I actually saw the interview with, I don't know if it was a CEO or with an analyst in the space, and he was talking about how they're trying to change the game for memory, and they're not changing many games here. They came out at 180, of course, and then that day was 350, and we shot pretty extreme to the upside, and then it's never really had a big momentum back to the upside there. We did, fade a little bit, come back in, 2 up days, up day here, but yeah, Cerebras back down to the downside. I do think it's an interesting name, Aziz there in the chat, but again, not 100% certain on, price, and, wait for their first or second report to come out, and then we'll be able to more value, where it looks. And I'm not talking about the PE, just, is their memory a thing? Do they have the clients? Do they have the customers? What do they put out for their own forward guidance and things like that? Just real quick, we got another out right there, so we go. Money, 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 money. What's up, Jack of Art? I don't know if it's good if we share the same mind, but I apologize for that, I guess. But yeah, 72.40, another out on the top side once again with the NASDAQ. Okay, we'll go back over to the desk with who again? Both. Okay. Ooh. We like to. Oh, we have to have one soon coming through as well for the Asian update. So lots happening here. Let's go back over to the desk.
Yeah, let's talk about this meta thing. So I want to shout out Darwin in the chat for bringing up this headline that is at least half an hour old. It was published here, this piece, at 11:55 a.m. Pacific time, which means it came out around 2:55 Eastern, so around half an hour ago. Basically, I read through this briefly. This is a piece in the Los Angeles Times under their Voices section. Now, Voices, to me, didn't sound like news, so I looked it up. It is an opinion piece, and it's about this woman named Sarah Wynne Williams, a Facebook whistleblower who wrote a book well over a year, or was published well over a year ago in March of 2026. And then now, apparently, Meta is trying to silence the publicity of said book. The title of this article is, quote, "Facebook's effort to silence a critic is backfiring spectacularly." It is purely an opinion piece as far as I can tell. And again, about an issue that, while still appearing now, started well over a year ago. It is not news. If there is anything else on Meta, I'll let you know. But I do want to thank, again, Darwin in the chat for giving me the exact wording of this headline so I could look into this. If I see anything else, I will certainly keep you posted. Now, over to Sia.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Adara. Let's quickly go over Money Talks, and we have Want joining us for his segment right after. So China's central bank has said today that it would maintain an appropriately loose monetary policy, also ramp up certain financial support to revive domestic consumption. So adding that the economy overall was facing a mismatch between a certain strong supply, also weak demand. But the DXY as well, the dollar falling down a bit back to the $100, to the 100 region. It's down 0.17% on the day. I would say it's like holding a little bit steady, minor losses on the day, but dollar is clinging to its highest levels, I would say, over the week, supported by the liquidity demand as well as the safe haven flows amidst all of this geopolitical tension that we're seeing around. That's all. Sending it back to you.
Thank you very much there, Sia. Appreciate it. And hey, the market is bouncing back after this move that we've had in Meta. It's not that Meta was actually moving other things, but the Nasdaq's starting to come back a little bit here. I did mention just a quick Rivian, once it broke, not going to fight something in the afternoon. The line I like to use is you take what you can get and don't get upset. Like if you get in And the point at which you enter the stock, it goes the direction that you want. The move is the move. Was able to get a leg at the bottom, and then it turned. Ideally, I mean, sometimes I should be doing something like this and maybe moving the trend stop and save a few extra shekels there. So I think that's the one way to improve. Battle's still it's still sliding lower. So, as long as it keeps on, it just keeps on sliding down. I got that 150 bid. We just grabbed the 55. We'll take 50. I don't know why I had 140. Oh, I know why I put 142, because that's my favorite number, but that doesn't really matter at this point. I'll probably move this into 45 if it wants to go, but it's still sliding down. No moves in USO is probably the bigger reason why this is just already dead. Started thinking there could be a long on the stock, and the short was either VWAP or that flat bottom break, but we take the bear flag setup regardless, and just looking for it to do a complete retracement. But the other name that I was actually looking short doesn't seem like it wants to go.
It was Rivian, right? Was Rivian?
We did have the Rivian trade.
Oh, that just broke the highs. What the hell?
Yeah, good thing we got out of it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And that's the thing.
The highs right now.
You've got to be able to understand. Like, I can have a prior high stop on this, but once it's already made a couple of legs down, just move it to break even. Keeps things a little bit simple. I was thinking Intel. I had a stop order to break short on Intel underneath VWAP here, and that just bounced $1. So, and Meta wasn't able to drag these guys low enough. The other place I might consider is silver here. That's right where we were short this morning and could also give me a bit of a trend break. So this is what I'm looking at currently. Silver right back into some of the highs from earlier this morning. The open highs, not the pre-market highs. This can break trend on the 3-minute. Here, that's what it looks like. Here's the trend from VWAP. We break that, look for the short in SLRV. IREN's pumping. There's been a lot of chatter about IREN.
Yeah.
And I think
it's not pumping anymore, is it?
Yeah. It's still pumping. 7% for IREN today. I think the rule is if you got smoked yesterday, then you got a good rebound. GEV with a good day today. I'm going to imagine Bloom probably having a pretty good day. Well, maybe not as much as IREN, but those names all rebounding rather nicely. Double top, though. And as you mentioned, Sean, we are going back up to the desk for the one and only.
We've got half an hour to go until the U.S. market closes, but that's not the only market out there, as we're all aware. Let's talk here about the Asian market, what it brought us in the prior overnight session and what we're expecting from this session. Here to break that down for us is one.
Thank you, Adara. So Asian market not looking so good as well. We had some huge de-risking in tech hardware, especially in North Asian chipboards in South Korea as well as Japan. But we did see some safe haven plays in Hong Kong. So main story here, Kospi plummeting. They're in free fall right now, down by 5.35%. It's also down 23% from its June highs. Some of the big names such as Samsung and SK Hynix, they were down by more than 5%. But like I said, Hong Kong, the safe haven play, all the chip hardware sell-off, they're going to internet platform rotation. So we had Alibaba up by 12%, as well as Xiaomi up by 9.5%. But let's focus a little bit on what's to come at the open for the Asian markets later on. Keep an eye out, of course, on geopolitical crude oil. Right now, oil is the big story. With Brent past $75 per barrel, if it goes towards $78 or $80 per barrel, that'll definitely trigger some automated selling against airlines, logistics, as well as the auto sector. In India, keep an eye out for TCS Q1 earnings happening tomorrow. So if there's anything positive from those earnings reports, there might be an IT short squeeze in India. But if there's a miss, there's also a risk that the Nifty 50 could drop down towards that 23,500 support. Now, Kospi, major stories, of course. Watch their order books early on in the morning if there's any forced retail merchant liquidations going to be happening. Some people might also be bargain hunting, of course, on the discounted AI hardware, especially ahead of SK Hynix US listing this Friday. And finally, Hang Seng in Hong Kong. They made a huge run today, up by about 700 points. So watch that momentum. There might be some early or immediate profit taking in the early hours. But if there is more of a software breakout that could sustain the follow through, then maybe that is where you should keep your eye out on.
Keep an eye on software, of course, memory and geopolitical headlines heading into that overnight session. Thank you once again to One. And you can see him every day at 11:30 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. to cover the European and Asian markets, respectively.
Yes, you can. And when you're talking about memory, you can't forget about this. And look, this is going to be an IPO. Look, it's the IPO website, but SK Hynix Friday, 28 billion ADR first day. That is going to be a fantastic and huge event. Still think it could be a bit toppish for the memory space. Let's go back up to the desk. We're going right back to Adara for some news.
We finally have the meta story, guys. I'm not sure if this is the meta story, but it is a meta story. Seeing a couple of reports now just coming in that Meta is investing $10 billion for its first ever Canadian data center. So, oh, Canada, Meta, META kind of languishing here, just chilling out near lows. Back to you.
Story there.
Meta is investing $10 billion reportedly for its first ever Canadian data center.
No, that's not the story. I mean, that might be the story, but I can't believe that would send it down. I mean, maybe it does, more CapEx. And I mean, that's going to be the problem. If they're going to spend more money, even though it's not a huge number, but 10 billion, maybe more money. But why would they do that? Why are they building another data center? So maybe they're, that selling of some of their compute is actually, maybe turned out to be better than they had thought. I don't know, but shout out, Canada. It doesn't say where though, Adara, does it? Or just in Canada. Maybe in Brampton, honestly. There's so much factory space there in Brampton. Like every time I'm over there, Alberta, yeah. So maybe they put it on Kevin O'Leary's land.
We got to get the power.
Yeah. He was talking about power generation there in Alberta, maybe a little bit cheaper. But anyways, yeah, nice
CapEx
move.
is like 140 or so.
I know, but they're just adding 10 more billion to it. So yeah, I guess that would make sense.
I guess that could do it.
That's the story there. I just didn't seem like a big number. How much did they lose in market cap right there, even by $7? Still a nice move down there for Meta. And yeah, that could be the story. We did see, we always used to say, okay, more CapEx, better for NVIDIA, but NVIDIA is kind of like, they don't even know who Meta is at this point. They're just going to the upside right now and, continue movement here higher as the buyers have really come for NVIDIA today, not for Meta, for NVIDIA. We sometimes, these good stocks at good levels. We can talk about anything, the Caterpillars, of this world, the Walmarts of this world, like companies that we really believe we can't live without, and NVIDIA right now is probably, one of those names. If they weren't around, who knows where we would be in this race. But Alibaba joins the party with a pre-announce today as well and saying things are going well on their side there. So we can wait for some good Alibaba numbers, hopefully once their report hits. I'm not even sure when that is, but probably soon. But generally it's within a month, right?
They're usually within the middle of the earnings season. So
Yeah,
they're probably going to be about mid-August is what I would say. So like just over a month. That's usually how it goes anyway. They're usually before NVIDIA, but after everything else.
Well, you're going to find out in 2 seconds here when it is. So they are, yeah, exactly. Actually, late this time. Late August, August the 28th right now for their next report there. 8th month is August, 28th day. So there it is, Q1 coming in a minute. So they just actually reported that pre-report a little earlier there, just letting people know business is well over at Alibaba and now up there a little bit higher. But again, Chinese name. Can you even trust that report? That's up to you. We're still, the Nasdaq's all the way back up. Let's wait. Now we're 13 minutes away from imbalances. So, we might as well give this a little bit of a look out and see what's going on with these imbalances here. Definitely willing to stop out. And, stopping out is different. Like we've already taken a lot of profit. But yeah, get trailed out. JP with a sell. We got that question earlier today. Is JP Morgan a sell today? Maybe I was smart enough just to say yes right there early on in the beginning of the day. And that was because of JP Morgan's weakness to start the day. It was down. We got asked it early. It was in the first 20 minutes, I'd say. So yeah, that's $5, $4 downside there for JP Morgan. Someone joining the party with that sell as well. Visa with a sell. FXI, that's your Chinese ETF coming through there. The top 100 names in the Chinese market represented by FXI. That's up today. And again, because of Alibaba.
It's profit taking.
Yeah, definitely a sell coming in there. And then QSR, shout out to Tim Hortons, Popeyes, and Burger King. QSR, another name that's really, not doing too much.
Shout out to the protein coffee.
I like Starbucks.
I feel like you can't get that too many.
Yeah, protein coffees you can get. Yeah, they're at Starbucks. You can get it at Tim Hortons as well. But yeah, there's Starbucks. I think this is another great call by Adara there. Starbucks has really done well this year. I mean, talk about a $90 or so, I believe, when we made that again, I could check that list. It doesn't really matter, but there has that one, $90 or so up to 103. Considering some of the names this year, that's not a bad little return there for Starbucks, 15+% on the year for SPCX. And then the other one was that one in the Midwest. Not Big Daddy's. What's it called there? They have the Big Strong Coffee there. Oh man, I forget what the name is. There's another coffee name that's out there. We don't have it here. Once I see it. Oh yeah.
Dutch?
Thank you to everybody in the chat there. Yeah, Dutch Bros.
Dutch Bros.
Right there. So this is going to be, yeah, exactly. This is another name. It's called the Annihilator, I think, their coffee.
What?
Yeah, they have a coffee called the Annihilator. They're
That just
very
sounds delicious.
annihilating caffeine, I think. But, or annihilating
Sounds like a
you
pitch
with
Charlie
the amount of
Sheen would
caffeine, maybe. But yeah, Dutch Bros on a pullback. This stock has been really nice too. Maybe not even year to date. It's kind of coming back right into where it started the year. But yeah, Dutch Bros. If you get back into this 52, 54 area, good name there too. I like the coffee space, man. I mean, coffee shops still seem to be pretty busy around here. So Starbucks also getting lighter. They've let go of a few of the offices, few of the locations around here, and very specific on where they're located, training of baristas and so on and so forth. So shout out to Starbucks and Dutch Bros. I like both those companies.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, ultimately, if you sell a drug, it's a pretty good business to be in. Let's be real.
Yeah, I'm drinking coffee right now.
Let's be real. That's what it is, and it's pretty simple. But I want to get your thoughts on something. With about 10 minutes to go till the imbalances.
Unless you're selling actual drugs, like weed companies, not your business.
Well, the problem with that is it was a more lucrative business when the margins were good because it was illicit, and it's just too easy. You just not good margins now because anyone can grow it. But yeah, what are you gonna do? But coffee's a bit of a different story. I want to get thoughts on this move on NVIDIA. Obviously, it just tagged 205, pulling back a little bit here. NVIDIA's up big today. Keep it simple. Trick, treat, and I'm not even typing this, smell my feet. So jump into the chat right now, because I guess that was Fabian. Type 1 if you think that this is a fugazi move on NVIDIA today, and it's a trick. Or, of course, you think this is for real on NVIDIA and we're going to go to the upside. I'm gonna type the 2 in there. 3 if you just want to make a joke about it. But obviously, NVIDIA has got to be on a lot of people's minds today. So far, 60% think this is a trick. 50% now. So not a lot of people right now thinking this is a real move. And I got to be real. I like it. I like this move. 19 PE. Cheaper than the overall market. You want to talk about rotation? Well, if you think there's a top coming on Friday because of SK Hynix in the memory space, then why not have some of that money rotate into the boring name, which hasn't really been going as far, and back into the originator for the AI expressing the AI trade, which to me has been NVIDIA. So I'm gonna go with that. I think that at least this move is real. Off of the 200 period moving average, whether or not it results in it breaking all-time highs. The 50 period to the 220 at least makes a little bit of sense. And yeah, smell my feet with 17% of the votes. It's getting a little bit closer to 50-50 because I'm not going to count the smell my feet. 45, 37. So it's still overall looking like a trick. This is what happens when something gets out of favor for too long. You just start hating on it.
Yeah.
But the chat hated on Apple for a while. Multiple times. Not to call everybody out, but we were doing Mag 7 polls twice in the last quarter. And both times Apple was at the bottom of the list. Tied with Meta one. I think it was tied with Meta both times, but it was within one. It was like 4% or 5%. And none of y'all seem to want to like Apple in the Mag 7. Well, guess who's back to the all-time highs? It's Apple, Apple, Apple. I still think this is the safest play in the Mag 7. Safest one to buy on dips. They're not going crazy with CapEx spend. Least chance of completely imploding on you, right? Like if we get the correction, which one would you want to be in? Is there anybody not saying Apple to that in the Mag 7?
Oh yeah.
Anyway, so NVIDIA trick or treat. I'll come in tomorrow favoring the longs, but that's again just sort of favoring for sure. Google, yeah, I would put Google up there. It's close. That's close for me, but I'd still say if you're talking about safe with regards to the AI trade blowing up, right, to CapEx spend dropping and then that being like a cascade effect, I think in that regard, Alphabet probably a little bit more exposure than Apple to that. So I would sort of lean in that regard more to Apple. But yeah, I do like Google. We love some Alphabet. I probably own more share. I think it's close, but Apple's back at the highs, so I don't want to say that I had more between Google and Alphabet and Google and Apple, because those are the two biggest. NVIDIA at one point was looking much better, but it hasn't really done much for us lately. Whereas Apple's at the high, so it's probably pulling back in front for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some research myself to figure out what I exactly own these days. But what I don't own much of, and thankfully right now, is SpaceX, because it is right now at the all-time lows. One more time for SpaceX. We've been here about an hour ago. We're back here right now. We're still holding on to this. Let's see how low SpaceX can go. Sia, you like SpaceX at these levels? Let's go find out. She's at the desk. Those stupid mic packs, you got to turn them off and on there. We'll get Sia all organized, and then she's ready to go. How about now?
Sorry, little confusion. My battery had popped out of the pocket. Anyways, yeah, I talked about my SpaceX views yesterday in the chat. I shouldn't have spammed that, but anyways. Crypto update here. So the cryptocurrency history, this is coming as per Reuters today, that is starting to prepare for the threat of quantum computing. I remember reporting on just the start of this a couple of months ago and what was going on around this, but it's finally starting to prepare for the threat of quantum computing. So some recent advances are fueling concerns that technology overall will soon be able to crack the cryptography that protects transactions and digital wallets, and BTC is the one that's in the biggest concern over here. With that, BTC is down 1.7% on the day, trading around the $62,180 region. ETH down 1.8%, trading around the $1,700 region, and Solana down 4.12%, where it's trading around the $77 region.
We're trying to look up thanks, Sia, for all that. We're trying to look up, when is the SpaceX lockup? Maybe Derek can find this out. It was treated as a different IPO that I'm not even sure, about the lockup. We had Kevin O'Leary.
Are we finding out? SpaceX?
August 20th?
Go ahead,
one
yeah.
of the first tranches.
Yeah, SpaceX.
The next tranche is August 20th, I think.
Yeah, so it's just kind of when is that next sort of forced sell come through, right? We heard that there's been millionaires minted, and there obviously has been there. Many of you probably know people that have, worked at SpaceX or seen the stories or whatever. Can they sell? Can shareholders, employees, early investors, what does that look like for SpaceX and, the stock? And I really think that, especially in today's day and age, cash is king. And, if no matter how I felt about SpaceX or whatever, all decisions that I make are going to be revolving around money, especially when it comes to investing. So if I had some shares of SpaceX and it was going to make me a millionaire, I probably would realize some of that at least at my first opportunity. So that's the way I would do it. I'm thinking there would be more pressure on the stock if and when said lockup periods, you mentioned August 20th, as these things start to come through. But
I just updated in the chat. I want to correct that.
Okay.
Because the first major lockup expiration window opens late July, early August of 2026. Specifically, it triggers around the second trading day following their Q2 2026 earnings report, which is expected around August 6th. There is an additional tranche that could be in the 20th and another one in December. So that is approaching rather rapidly. And it gets a lot nastier, especially following that earnings report, where we have to start digesting real numbers for a company which has a pretty ridiculous valuation.
Right? That's why OpenAI should have no business coming. Even Anthropic, man, I don't think they want their books opened up. It looks like Anthropic will come.
They're going to.
They are going to. Yeah. So
well, they seem to.
I don't like that. But what's up, Adair? You got more on that or no?
Yeah, here's the full trans schedule that I'm seeing. As Neil mentioned, share unlocks start after the first quarterly earnings report. That's going to be 20% available for sale. But if SpaceX is above 175, that could be up to 30%. So the size of the tranche actually will depend on SpaceX's price after earnings. That is significant. Then you get 7% releases on August 20th, September 9th, October 9th, October 24th. So 2 in the same month. Then another 28% unlocking here after second quarter earnings. The final lockup period, I guess, here will end after December 8th. Back to you.
Yeah, thank you, Adair. And I think that's obviously going to be a big event, but you have a long time before you get there. Earnings.
Yeah, there'll be. I was just saying that to Neil. He's like, "Oh, I hope we don't forget that date." And I'm like, "Nah, we won't, man." I mean, I think that it's just one of those things where we'll be talking about it all day. I literally trade SpaceX.
Well, I have my. No, I'm talking about for my long-term.
Oh no, that's what I mean. Yeah,
because I might move things around. Let's just put it that way. That's the way I'm thinking about it. Like, I have an order out to get more shares long in the PA, and I don't know that if it hasn't been filled and it's like the day of the lockup expiration, I'd probably cancel the order and then wait a couple of days. Or the same thing with earnings.
Yeah, but if you're only trying to get a little bit, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, but I can get.
I'm not smart enough.
If I got zero, I'm already in a little bit enough. So, by the way, there is a move happening back into VWAP for USO. So there's only 30 seconds till imbalance.
That's it, yeah.
Okay, so, all right, what I was going to say is if it were to reverse off of VWAP, I might try a reload in battle, but no, not with 20 seconds to the imbalances. There's still just FXI. It's growing 1.6 million to the sell side and JP Morgan 1.2 million to the sell side. So those ones stand out a little bit. Probably going to be looking at the ETF. We've seen some really big numbers in real trading on the Amex, so that'll be the one that I'm going to throw up. It is 1.6 into 33 million. So unless that number gets significantly bigger, like I want to see, it's not going to. Yeah. NVIDIA sell 1.7. FXI ends up exactly at the 1.6 we showed you guys. In Netflix sell 1.1 million. That could be something. Intel 1 million. That's not a heck of a lot. That's a decent number. Sell for NVIDIA. Not huge. 1.6 million isn't a gigantic one, but it's enough to get it to the downside a little bit. I almost think that Netflix number at 1.1 million is a bigger deal. The overall, the buy.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much. I mean, Rivian's only a $16 name. I would say it's the NVIDIA would add a little bit to that sell, and NVIDIA got to 205 there, so that's a little bit of a move down there. And I just want to give everyone a little bit of an update. I did get, I mean, for some reason, we've been really, I haven't been buying the bottoms here because I really didn't want to lose everything based on something cracking lower. But there goes the market back up into its highs again. Basically, we're trying to get that very high. I don't know if that was going to happen, but heading into the imbalances, definitely worth cashing out a little bit. So we do that. And now it is upside, and we'll get a little bit out there at 47 if we're able to. And I'm sitting at 60s, which would be the market day's high. So hopefully we're able to get that. SpaceX. So I do have an offer to get out at 2/3 of what I have left right now at 146.50 break, because we've seen this move before. And again, on the imbalances, I don't really see it on here, but I don't have to. We don't have very many shares left. If this does break higher, we'll get out, and ho-hum, we'll have to take $5 on it, whatever. And on that last, there it goes. It's going to break in two. No, I was going to say it's going to break in two. There it is.
It's a buy.
So there we go. Yeah, it's a buy. So, I mean, that was pretty,
900.
Right there. Yeah, 900K. Okay, a decent buy too. So there it goes. Upside. Good one anyways for SpaceX, as it's looking like it wants to go higher, needless to say. But yeah, there it goes. SpaceX. We have 1/3 of our position left there on SPCX. And of course, that short is from early days today, 150, 150. And the market, there it is, man. We get that high. And did we get that 60 yet? Oh, no. Oh, yeah, we got 59s. Okay. No, we didn't. Sorry. That was our buy on SpaceX. We got 59. Actually, we get 59 as well. 72.59. We did get that. So there it is right there, 72.59. The high for the NASDAQ today, we got it. So that was not bad. As we've been, we started the show at 2 p.m. long, TQ, short, SPCX, and both of those names turned out to be pretty good trades there into the close. And yeah, man, with only 8 minutes left, I don't think there's major earnings or anything coming through. I can check out today's research.
Unless you're into Levi's.
Yeah. So there's, Levi's. I got on some jeans right now. Levi's, AZZ, and PCYO. So
jeans.
I saw Levi's Stadium there, San Francisco. They have the Levi's little park porch there. But Levi's, get into them jeans. As you can see, nice movement early. Obviously, barcoding down there, 17, 18 bucks. Hey, man, this looks like a good break for Levi. I mean, maybe there's something here. Breaking up above 25 bucks. That would take out their October high. Let's see what kind of a number can come out today for LEVI, Levi there. get those 501s ready to go. But yeah,
it's not as big a short float, I think, as it used to be.
No, I don't know.
7.6%. Wasn't this more short than that on Levi's?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure if anybody why they would want to be short it really. I mean, I wonder what the base case would be there. But yeah, I think more athleisure wear and things like that was the worry for that.
There's worse that's the thing. Like, if people have been picking on other retail names, it's got breakout potential. No, I wasn't thinking short. I was just thinking a breakout is better if it was like 15 or 20% short, because look at the daily chart here. Levi's looks like a good breakout candidate.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying.
We're all going into earnings, but I would love to see, I like retail when there's 15 or 20% short, and then you get the breakout trade, just a little bit more legs if you're stopping out a bunch of hedgies. Then you get some better continuation. But whatever, it's still a strong chart.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it at all. So, I don't know. It's
looking good.
It's a stable, safe kind of business. All right, Netflix might get a little bit 50 seconds or so, 30 seconds or so until 355, where you could get a bit of a flip, but they already paired it off. Lame. So they've already paired that 1.3 million off on Netflix. A bit of a bounce, but this is going to end up giving it up. So even Netflix with the buy and bounce wasn't able to do much of anything. It's going to go back into the red and back into the gates of hell, at least until maybe they get this World Cup deal.
Yep, exactly, and hopefully that does come relatively soon.
That won't be decided anytime soon.
No.
That's going to take years, by the way.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Just an early story today, but yeah, man, there it is. Dollar clubbing once again here. 5 in on SpaceX and now 1 in on the NASDAQ derivative here on the TQQs. And a little bit of a flip up there. As, the market moving around very much so here into the close as we start to go higher and near the high of the day. And yeah, man, just really playing that momentum in the afternoon. Oh, I was trying to click on Oracle there. Yeah, is this going to be a green day finally for Oracle? No, it does not look like it. Another red one there for ORCL, down that 1%. It tried to get, maybe it was green not too long ago, but there's a nice move down into 140 again. So we'll see what Oracle holds out. Amazon as well tried to get green today and did it. No, it does not. That's still down 0.85%. Rivian's faltered a little bit off that imbalance. It's come off a little bit, but it has not faltered. Stock at day's high as well for Rivian. But yeah, man, you're rocking with the best of us here now. Big move there on the TQs into the close, taking out the highs. Would have not thought coming in today that the long was right, and it was, and happy to have sort of put that one on, and glad that we got out also right there of what we had left. We had less than 5% left of this trade. We talked about having 10%. We got 2 outs throughout the afternoon. Even since we've been back, that's 220. So we started to get out there. Got another out at that low. That was pretty cool. Then we got out again at 145.50. So then 146 and change. Now 148 for SpaceX. Nice little movement here at the end of the day on SPCX. Adair, what you got for us?
And NASDAQ at intraday high, so lots of texting. They do want to talk here about Amazon. I've been seeing this circulate over the last 10 minutes. I don't think this pop-up is necessarily related to that because the whole market's doing this. But either way here, guys, Amazon has announced plans to invest $5 billion in the Philippines over the next 15 years. Not a massive investment, but I also just saw AWS, or Amazon Web Services, announcing that Claude Apps Gateway is now available here on AWS. So bit of an update here with Amazon. A couple different updates, I guess, with Amazon as we head into the closing bell.
So maybe more than just the imbalance there. I mean, nice move there, 242.50 up to 244. I have no idea what Claude Apps are, but yeah, probably good. It sounds like they're for their business. So nice move higher there. Right into the high of the day again for Amazon. This could be tomorrow's trade. If that story, not if, it's obviously a real story, but once that gets populated, and we'll see if tomorrow it makes our watch list and if Amazon has any sort of a movement based on that report. But there goes AMZN up to 244.50. I like that stock.
Even Meta's right back into 605, so that's catching a bid. So looks like it was a bit of a fugazi, at least in terms of the reaction to the story. But I'm staring down SPCX. It's going to be interesting to see if it can get back in through the volume-weighted average price. There might be, there's only 2 minutes left to go. Only 2 minutes to go. I don't care how much this bounces. It's still going to be a short tomorrow. You can't even get above that prior day close or prior day low. Even on this massive rally, it doesn't seem to make a difference. You're still under 150. You're still under VWAP. You're still relatively weak. All that stuff is going to be true. But the place where you got to think about tomorrow for the long side is going to be NVIDIA, maybe Amazon. And I'm going to sneak one in here because Meta's back above 600. If they're going to write that one off, then fair enough. they're going to write that story off as a $10 billion spend on the data center in Alberta. Speculation. I don't think that was necessarily confirmed. That's 600. It's back above it. It's still the key price level and managed to bounce. Yannick saying Intel is ripping. Yeah, I was looking to short this one under view off at one point, but this is now going to go green. All right. That's not a name I expected to go green today, but on the daily, it's going to put in a pretty convincing candle if it can hold green for a reversal. That looks like a bit of a bottom play here on Intel. So maybe 112 break tomorrow. We might actually be thinking long tomorrow on Intel. I didn't think this one would be that strong, but it is. 1 minute to go. Let's go back to Adara.
Well, seeing some people on social media claim that the reason the market's higher here, beyond the imbalances, is that apparently, we get reports about 10 minutes ago now, explosions were heard in Iran and air defenses activated in southern Iran. So I guess the implication there would be if the U.S. is striking Iran, it would be a good thing. Again, not sure how I personally feel about this argument, but I'm seeing it circulating on social media, so I thought I'd let you guys know. Some people arguing that the market's moving higher here because of explosions being heard in Iran. Back to you.
Well, the market's rallying, but it's not like USO is doing anything. Oil it's up 3%, but to say that it's strong is not correct. It's actually been pretty weak for the second half of the day. Market good, oil down. The chip names are going absolutely ham, though, to the upside. It was led by NVIDIA, but we got the closing bell, and it's brought to you by VinFast. That's ticker VFS. I want to shout out to them for sponsoring this closing bell. Hey, it's hump day. I didn't really even say it. On this hump day. It is Wednesday. It's just garbage day. But only Levi's earnings, but that's not what everyone's going to be concerned about. Is the move up in NVIDIA real? I think so. Is the move down in SpaceX real? I still think so. Are the memory names going to be able to hold on to their butts before there's SK Hynix? I'm not completely convinced. I still think that's going to be a sell event, and we're going to be trading that one on Friday. I'm looking forward to that, but one thing we discussed that we didn't mention on the show, I don't know how that's going to play out. It's not an IPO. I think it opens up right away, or at least relatively soon. I don't think we're waiting around for SK Hynix. I think we're trading that in the first half an hour, or at least have the ability to. I'm paying for shorts on SK Hynix.
Yeah, it should be interesting when it comes out there on Friday. Join us live at that point. Thank you, One. Thank you, Sia. Thank you, Adara, today. Everybody that's back in there, Tiffany, Andre, Fabian, Ramin, and Brendan, and of course, the Bash Bros that are both not here anymore, but shout out to Sharif and to Joe. All right, man, get that air conditioner fixed, and we will see everybody tomorrow, 8 a.m.
We get a new one.
Bright and early. See you, everybody.
Peace.